Well, it's a pleasure to have Kevin McCarthy with us. You know, I was thinking, we don't have anybody speaking for our country. We have Chuck Schumer, who's very busy in Communist China right now. We have Hakeem Jeffries, who put out a statement but hasn't really been seen publicly talking about anything that's going on overseas in Israel. We have no Republican who's speaking out. And, of course, Joe Biden was having a barbecue, and here comes Kevin McCarthy, fills the void, and really gave a tremendous speech. You know, Kevin McCarthy, you've been a friend of Israel since you've been in Congress. You've visited there scores of times. You brought Democrats with Republicans over there. You were asked to speak to Knesset, on and on and on. There was peace breaking out all over the Middle East. People were feeling great, and now this. What do you make of this?
I tell you, this is a combination between 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. The idea that 800 Israelis died is the equivalent of 30,000 Americans.
Now it's over 1,000, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, it grows every time we look. And, Mark, I'm going to tell you this. I am so furious of what transpired, but I'm furious of our lack of response. The president put a lid on today. The president put a tweet out about Ticketmaster funds or fees or whatever. Here we are on the brink of World
wait a minute.
War III.
Ticketmaster.
He put a tweet out about excess fees on hotels, rooms, concerts, and others. This is the tweet he put out today. This is really going to scare Hamas.
God help us.
And I put out a 5-point plan. First of all, we've got to rescue the American hostages. This is not going to be Afghanistan. We're not going to leave any Americans behind. Second, we have to stand with Israel, but not just stand with Israel. Hamas has to be defeated. We should be moving right now. Like, you've been there lots of times. I've been there lots of times taking a lot of members. I was supposed to take all the new Republicans at the end of this month. We've been to the Iron Dome. They're trying to overwhelm the Iron Dome. And I promise you, most of these first missiles are going to be dumb rockets. So later they'll come back with precision-guided, long-range ones, thinking the Iron Dome doesn't have enough weaponry to take them out, right? So we should make sure we resupply that, the ammunition that they need. We should go after directly where this came from, Iran. When does the Wall Street Journal have better intel than the Secretary of State? Mm-hmm. And what we need to do is you refreeze that money, which is able to do it. But the key part we have to go after here is why this all got created, this appeasement. First, this administration started paying for hostages. Secondly, the appeasement to Iran. They used to produce only 400,000 barrels of oil a day. Now they're at 3 million. We have the sanctions on them right now, but it's not being enforced by this administration. We could shut down their money, make America produce the extra oil, create more jobs and more wealth here. And then what we need to do is look at our own failure in the intel. Why didn't we know this was happening? And what about our borders wide open? 151 people we caught so far this year on the FBI terrorist watch list. In 2019, that number was 0.
You know, Kevin McCarthy, I watch these people. They pretend they didn't give $6 billion to the Iranians. It goes from this pool to that pool. They wanted immediate de-escalation. They had to pull 2 tweets down. They're not going to do what you want them to do, even though it's a sure way to have an impact on Iran. They deny the intelligence that Iran was working with these other, what I call these Nazi organizations. And here's the thing. Hamas and Hezbollah has said Iran worked with them, and Iran said they worked with them, in addition to the Wall Street Journal. It's crazy. This administration pretends it's not. These people don't learn their lessons, Kevin McCarthy.
No. They've made Iran stronger financially and funding more terrorism. If you look at the foreign currency fund, when the Biden administration came in, Iran only had $4 billion. Today, $70 billion in 3 years. And what are they doing with that money? We know they trained them. We know what transpired for how long. We know what their plan is. This is why you got to go directly after Iran, and you have to say Hamas has to be destroyed. Not weakened, destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And they haven't said that, have they?
No. And the other thing that gets me, on the fifth point, we've got to end the anti-Semitism in this nation. Every single president at every college better step up for what is being said. But you know what's happening in the halls of Congress? I see the anti-Semitism. There's 10 Democrats that voted against even providing the Iron Dome. But what's even worse, you watch the comments by these in the progressive, the squad. But you know what the Democrat leader says? No comment. That's not leadership. That's not standing up against it. You know what I did? I removed them from Foreign Affairs. When they wanted to hold a meeting of anti-Semitism, I took the room away from them. You know, you've got to stand up to this. This is the 1930s all over again. You got the axis of evil, Iran, Russia, and China bounding together.
You know, what's amazing to me, Kevin, is you'll watch Fox and you bring people in who are pro-American, who are pro-Israel, pro our allies, who understand all that. And then you watch MSNBC as an example. And they literally have mouthpieces for Hamas. They have individuals who are blaming Israel. Is this not amazing to you?
What can they ever blame them? You watch that. Children, Holocaust survivors, innocent civilians, slicing their throats. I don't understand why this whole entire world isn't waking up and saying, we've got to destroy Hamas. This is ISIS. And this is the other problem. Do you know what the president said? The number one issue, the number one threat, more important than nuclear war? Climate change.
Mm-hmm. Because they're ideologues.
That's what he's focused on our Intel committee on. I mean, he just said that in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And when they asked the spokesman today, no, we don't take that back. Climate change is very scary. The number one threat.
I'll tell you what, the next year and a half is going to be a disaster for all of our allies. Well, you see, Israel is now fighting for its survival.
Yes.
Taiwan is going to be fighting for its survival. Ukraine is fighting for its survival. To be an ally of the United States under this regime, the Biden regime, is to put a target on your back and on your forehead and hope for the best because, I mean, this administration, everything it touches turns to blood. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've never seen anything like this. I don't even know of anything like this in modern American history. Do you?
No. Remember, not in modern American history, but I know the 1930s a lot like it. Remember, 3 years ago, there was no war in Ukraine. 3 years ago, there was no war with Israel in the crisis. And we didn't have 5 embassies we had to evacuate. This is Biden's administration which is causing this.
We're here with Kevin McCarthy, who gave a fantastic speech today, really filled the void. And it's really incredible that I'll be honest, you don't need to comment on this, sir. Mitch McConnell put out a statement. He hasn't been really heard from today. Schumer's in China. He put out a statement. He hasn't really been heard from today. Hakeem Jeffries. Barack Obama finally got around to a 3-sentence statement. It's your typical pablum. Joe Biden's at cookouts. Nobody knows where he is tonight. The pressure's on, so he's going to make some kind of statement that is prepared for him tomorrow. You know, the world looks at this and they're shocked. And the world also looks at how 8 individuals who are not conservatives, and I've gone through their histories before, can decapitate the conservatives in the majority in the House of Representatives. Can you, maybe you don't have any, can you give me any insight into what's going on with all that?
You know, we're trying to walk through that now, but you bring up a very good point. Think about what those 8 have done by joining all of the Democrats. They put the whole House in jeopardy. Think about if government was shut down right now and our troops were not being paid and we're asking them to put that aircraft carrier strike team, Gerald Ford, into place, and they wonder whether they're getting paid. I mean, we've got 8 people that joined with all the Democrats, 4%, when 96% said they should do something else. They get to decide now. That's not a majority. This is the only thing conservatives have a majority in, and this is what they want to give up on. To me, it's unbelievable.
I don't know of any serious, known conservative. And I don't mean some guy that just runs a website or something. I mean Victor Davis Hanson, list after list after list of conservatives who've been fighting to defeat the left, who've been fighting to shrink the size of government, fighting to secure the border their entire lives, who supported this. And so my question to you is this. There's two running. You've got Scalise and Jordan. And I'm hearing people, I don't even know if they can get a majority. Has anybody approached you, I'm just curious, and said, you know what, you should run too? I mean, I'm not campaigning. I'm just curious, is any of that going on, or do you know?
Look, I didn't go to conference tonight. I'm going to let them work it out. There have some that approached it, but the conference has to unite. The conference has to decide, do they want to be a majority or not? We're failing the American public if we allow this to continue.
Because I saw what was happening in Israel prior to this attack. And the radical left in Israel kept undermining the Netanyahu government. Every day they'd turn out 50 to 100,000 people demanding democracy while supporting a judicial oligarchy. And then I even hear some of them say today on TV that Netanyahu's proposals weakened Israel, distracted Israel, when in fact it was the same radical hard-wing left in Israel as it is in our own country that undermines elected Republican governments. And so I was just wondering about this. Do you think anybody's having second thoughts?
A few of them have approached me, but I'll tell you, these 8, remember, they're the same people who voted against securing the border, cutting government, and taking that battle to the Senate. But then they wanted to argue that somehow we did something wrongly when they wouldn't allow us to keep the government open by cutting it and actually securing the border, making that argument. It's infuriating. Because
by the way, I want to talk about
Pelosi and Hakeem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you, if they do something stupid now, I don't think the American people are going to forgive the Republicans. I really don't.
Oh, they could lose the majority.
And if they can't get a majority for Scalise, they can't get a majority for Jordan, you might want to drop your hat in the ring again. But I get it. You don't want to be involved in or seen as, preening for the job again. But, people need to think about these things. And I hope they do it. My question to you now is this. American intelligence couldn't tell us that a Chinese spy balloon was a Chinese spy balloon. They couldn't tell us about 9/11 before 9/11. Okay. They couldn't tell us about what Iran was up to in this latest round of terrorism, but this one being, humongous. Do we have a serious problem in this country with American intelligence?
I will tell you, there's a concern I have, but I'm part of Gang of Eight. I am impressed with a lot of things the CIA does. Very impressed with Burns. I'm 100% honest there. But how can they have intelligence when you have a wide open border? 160 different countries coming through. You're catching people on the terrorist watch list, but how many people are you not catching? Who knows if there's a cell sitting inside? That's the part I have no trust with. And then the concern here is this was a long-planned incident. Yes, it happened in Israel, but we should know it's happening as well. So we need to reassess, where are we? Why didn't we know this was going to happen? We pride ourselves with Israel and America knowing these different things going on, and neither of us knew. How could Hamas plan along with Iran, be in Beirut, and how can the Wall Street Journal have it, but the Secretary of State says he sees no proof, and they say it today? Are they telling the truth when they say that?
I know everybody's citing the Wall Street Journal, but I have to be honest with you. Hamas said it. Hezbollah said it. Iran said it even before the Wall Street Journal reported it.
Yes, they tweeted it.
They're bragging about it. It's really quite unbelievable. Do you think, when you look at the squad and the Democrat Party, you had to deal with or get around some of these people, and you pointed out you threw Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee, or was it intelligence? Either one, fine by me.
No, it's Foreign Affairs. I did the Democrat sleeping with the Chinese spy off intelligence. when Pelosi kept them on. Yeah, Swalwell and Schiff.
Which was terrific, because you've put your foot down where they wouldn't. But that's my question to you. My question is, the Democrat Party has allowed this anti-Semitic, even now pro-Hamas wing of its own party to have influence, to get bigger and bigger. The media can't wait to put AOC on every program, despite her anti-Semitism and so forth and so on. So the Democrat Party and the Democrat Party media, this has become a constituent group of theirs, hasn't it? They need now this growing, hate-filled, sort of Democrat, socialist, ideological, hard left Marxist types. It's now part of their party, I think, is it not?
It's a growing part of their party. I will tell you this. Just as I would take the Republicans to Israel, they would do that with the Democrats. Once AOC was elected, they made it a political problem for Democrats to go. And you watch where they literally voted against providing Iron Dome, which is a defensive ability to knock rockets out of the sky from killing innocent civilians. They voted against it. Unbelievable. And
I'm going to read you something.
And the flags they fly in the Capitol.
Well, you made that point today that they fly every flag in these other countries, in our country, but in other countries overseas, obviously, they've been flying the Israeli flag, and we're not doing that here.
Mm-mm.
And we're not flying the Israeli flag, so to show our support. The Israelis flew the American flag after 9/11. You would think we'd immediately say, you know what, my border policies are wrong. We better start locking down that border. They don't even think about the border, Biden, in that way. Or, we better really start strengthening our military a little bit. We're getting stretched between all these countries and so. They don't even think about that. No proposals coming out of this White House. Really no attention paid. They think they can control everything. They can't control anything. I think we're in for a very rough year and a half there, I was going to call you Mr. Speaker. Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you. But history repeats itself when you don't pay attention to it. Lowering our stockpiles, appeasement. Think of everything that he did. When he went and met with Putin before Putin invaded Ukraine, what did he do? He lifted the sanctions off Nord Stream 2 and asked nothing. Iran. He offended our allies, Saudi Arabia and others, and appeased Iran and provided them money. And they just funded terrorism, didn't enforce the sanctions, let them produce more oil. Attacked the producers in America so the price of oil goes higher. What does that say to our Afghanistan? The debacle there, that he personally made those decisions, knowingly left Americans behind. Our allies started thinking they needed to go to China. Didn't know whether we'd be there. And then, when our closest of allies has more of their citizens killed, the most since the Holocaust, he has a barbecue, he puts a lid on it, and he tweets about some fees on a concert ticket. The world is watching for the world leader to act like a leader.
And as you just pointed out, his spokes idiot, representing Biden, tells the entire world, after the Israelis go through this slaughter for the last 2 days, and now they're going to have to go to war, and they're going to lose God knows how many patriotic young men and women. That's not the biggest problem we face in the world. Climate changes in the face of terrorism and terrorist states and what they've unleashed. They still say climate change. So again, what do our enemies think of that? They go, oh my God, we attacked our allies. We'll attack them. And they'll still be talking about climate change, no?
Exactly. He weakens America, strengthens our enemies, and then wonders why the world is not safe. It is his policies that is causing this.
All right, my friend. Well, we wish you well. That was
Thank you, my friend. I
fantastic
appreciate
speech
you
today.
greatly.
And you too.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.